Our next guest is the author of a new book challenging new gender ideologies being promoted across America. When Harry Became Sally, Responding to the Transgender Moment, is being released next week. In it, Ryan Anderson argues sex is neither fluid nor subjective, and that fact is supported by the best biology, psychology, and philosophy. Ryan joins us now in studio. He's a senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome to the
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Your research has been cited by 2 Supreme Court justices in 2 Supreme Court cases. This book is a thorough and I think thoughtful analysis of what you call the transgender moment. I think in 2015, Bruce Jenner, the explosion of this moment happened, and it sparked this national debate on transgender issues. Why are you calling this a moment and not a movement?
Sure. I mean, so it ends up being both, but what I want to highlight here is that it will be a moment that will pass if we do our work in pushing back and in telling the truth. Because the transgender moment gets human nature wrong. A decade ago, when Harry met Sally, so that's 30 years ago now, it was all about whether or not men and women could just be friends. Now we're debating whether or not men can become women, whether women can become men. This gets human nature wrong, and it won't be the wave of the future.
You've talked to many people who have done this, and I'd like to know what you've learned from them. There's a big statistic, 41% of transgender people attempt suicide. Is that what you found in talking to them?
Well, I mean, what's really sad here is that the statistics on suicide come from large samples of people who identify as transgender, and they're heartbreaking because they're remarkably high. The chapter of the book that was hardest to research was the chapter on people who transitioned and then detransitioned. And several of them have told their stories on YouTube and on blogs. And watching those videos, reading through their writings, that's heartbreaking because you see how much they have suffered and how they thought transitioning would bring them wholeness and happiness, but it didn't. And then they found that by detransitioning, they actually could re-identify with their body, and that could bring some of the healing, some of the wholeness they were seeking.
There are a lot of parents I know who are dealing with gender dysphoria and this sort of dysfunctionality that these transgender kids feel,
right,
not living in the body, not feeling like they are part of the body that they were born into. What message do you have for parents who are dealing with these issues on a day-to-day basis? You want to love your children, right?
Of course, and so that's the starting point. You have to start with a perspective of love and compassion. You should also know, as I point out in the book, the best science on this shows that 80 to 95% of children with gender dysphoria will naturally grow out of it if they're simply given the time and the space to do so. They'll naturally come to re-identify with their body if they're allowed to continue developing. And the best therapies for this don't try to transform the body to reshape the body in according to thoughts and feelings. It tries to help people align their thoughts and their feelings with bodily reality.
You say that you provide a balanced approach to public policy issues involving transgender identity. What is your advice to policymakers?
Right. So, I mean, what the law should say here is that the law shouldn't be buying into new ideologies that the word sex means gender identity. You hear activists saying that sex is merely assigned at birth, but that gender identity is what should be controlling for the law. So a boy who identifies as a girl should be allowed into the girls' bathroom and locker room, showers, sports teams. That's what the prior presidential administration did. What we should do is say, we're not going to force that student into a bathroom where he feels uncomfortable, but we can't allow him into a bathroom where everyone else feels uncomfortable. We can accommodate him with a single occupancy facility, with access to a staff lounge, a teacher's lounge, something like that. But we have to protect both sides.
Thank you so much, Ryan Anderson, Senior Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation and author of the book, When Harry Became Sally. Thank you so much.
Thank you.